out better for you where you live overseas, because I knew we do have a few listeners in places like Dubai and California and Toronto and lots of places. So yeah, progress, but still things to be ironed out, I think, for the RFL there on that one. But thanks for flagging it, Carsten. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's everything on feedback and shout outs for this week. We're going to move forward now to news from around the world of rugby league. News now from around the world of rugby league, sponsored by littlewarden.com. If you have a website, then visit littlewarden.com and see what they can do to help you. They can help you with things like domain expiration checks, web redirects, all sorts of important background web stuff that they'll make simple for you. Little Warden, monitoring the tedious. Okay, so something that's jumped into the top of the news rundown, Sarah, this morning is confirmation that the Huddersfield Giants have appointed Newcastle Knights assistant coach Simon Wolford as their new head coach. It's on a 2.5-year deal that'll take up to the end of the 2020 season. He played 14 seasons as hooker in the NRL, mostly with Canberra Raiders and a little bit with St George Illawarra. He's 43 years old and he's still waiting to receive the visa, but he's expected to arrive in Huddersfield in the next week or so. So yeah, something's been finally confirmed there on that front.
And confirmed on a Monday rather than a Tuesday.
Yeah, and actually, luckily, just before we started recording with the earlier recording, otherwise we'd have had this nailed down. Do you know anything about Simon Wolford? Because this has been the big conversation, hasn't it? That no one does.
No, I know nothing about him at all, I'm afraid. My NRL knowledge isn't great, but yeah, hopefully it'll bring a bit of stability to the club.
Well, yeah, I mean, the last Australian import didn't work so well, but the one before that worked out great. That was Nathan Brown, and he's coming from working with Nathan Brown. He seems to have been friends with Nathan Brown. They probably played together at St George. I would guess before. I don't know. Maybe. This seems a possibility there. So, I mean, that might be good, taking them back to what was their most successful period, probably in Super League. Although Paul Anderson finished that job off, it was started by Nathan Brown. Yeah.
No, hopefully it'll bring a bit of stability, because under Chris Thorman as captain, they've not really looked great, have they?
No, I mean there was an initial boost, wasn't there, with the Leeds game?
Yeah, because they beat Leeds, but apart from that,
if anything, they've got worse and worse. Now there's been injury mitigation there, hasn't there? But some of these defeats recently have just been absolute hammering. So it's a good thing that they've got something sorted and the players can now focus on getting better. Okay, what's the next news story we have, Sarah?
Yeah, so the next news story is that Catalan Dragon halfback Luke Walsh has been forced to retire after suffering a serious ankle injury. Walsh sustained ligament damage in the team's third match of the season against Hull KR. The 30-year-old Australian joined Catalans from St Helens in 2017, having previously played for NRL sides Newcastle Knights and Penrith Panthers. Following Walsh's retirement, the French side have moved to bring in former London Broncos and Leeds Centurion scrum half Josh Drinkwater, who's 25, on a deal until the end of the season.
So we all got to see Josh Drinkwater in action, didn't we? Off the plane and straight into the side.
Yeah.
On Saturday. Now, the thing about, before we give Walsh the credit it is due, the thing about Drinkwater is he's played 2 Super League seasons and been relegated from Super League twice. So maybe that's a record that you don't want to be bringing in with you, but similarly they needed to get someone in.
I like him as a player. Whenever I've seen him play against us, he has always played well, whether that was for Lee or for Catalans, as I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I think he's got a quality kicking game. I think some of maybe the other aspects to his game defensively maybe call into question. Obviously, he's not been surrounded by much talent in those two sides, or much high caliber talent in those two sides that we talked about. That London side was an absolute scratch side that really was preparing to not be in Super League rather than the other way around. Okay, so Luke Walsh then. He started his St Helens career really, really well, and then picked up a bad injury. He came back into the Saints side, played really, really well, picked up an injury. At Catalans, he was very, very good for them last year when they were going forward, but very, very poor for them in defence. But ultimately, he's a player that's played really well in Super League when he's been able. It's certainly helping his team score points. And he punished you guys last year, didn't he, with his goal kicking? So it's a player it's really sad that someone, only 30 years old, even though he looks way older than me. Only 30 years old, having to retire from injury. Obviously, he'd had ankle injuries in the past. He got that really badly broken leg, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
St. Helens. So, any memories of Luke Walsh?
Not specific ones. I mean, he's just one of those players that you think, if only he hadn't had those injuries, what could he have achieved?
Yeah, I agree. He certainly was a quality presence. It was that game against Warrington where he really smashed onto the scene and looked like an absolute quality player. And unfortunately for him, he never really got to see through all that with playing at the crucial ends of the season due to injury. Yeah. Another injury, and one that hopefully will be recovered from, is Ben Curry, because Warrington coach Steve Price has confirmed that Ben Curry will miss the rest of the season after suffering an ACL injury. The 23-year-old suffered a second anterior cruciate knee ligament injury in last weekend's fifth round Challenge Cup victory over the Bradford Bulls, and Price revealed that Curry will undergo surgery on Wednesday. So that, I can't remember, that's Wednesday this week, isn't it? While confirming he will not play again in 2018. We've had some in from one of the listeners, Brian Davies, at Brian Davies 12. Great to hear from Brian, because he's been lax on the match reviews this year for Brian.
He's been quiet, hasn't he?
He says, imagine he'll be one of those players who isn't physically up to it. Real class, but his body can't cope with the way he plays. It's a worry, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't realise he was only 23 as well.
Well, it's because he's so good. That you
just feels like he's been around a lot longer.
So you feel like he has been, don't you? Because every time he plays, he's impressive. So you remember him being on the pitch, which not a lot of players you can say that about, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's bad for the kid. I'm hopeful. Obviously, last year he had a target to come back for, which was the World Cup. Maybe if that hadn't been the case, he might have been sat down for longer and been able to recover a bit more. This year, obviously, it looks like he's going to get that full 10 months or so recovery time until next season, and I desperately hope that this is the end of the worries for Ben Curry. Maybe they might have to think about a change of position or something like that, somewhere he's going to be involved in less high impact collisions, maybe play him in the centres, or I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways to preserve this guy and keep him around longer, because he's absolute class.
Yeah. Hopefully, as you say, having the longer layoff will do him well.
We've got some lesser kind of Super League news now. Do you want to take us through the first of those smaller stories?
So Widnes Vikings have handed young winger Owen Buckley his first professional contract. The 18-year-old is the latest product of the club's academy to sign a full-time deal with the club after agreeing a 2-year contract. Buckley has yet to make a competitive first-grade appearance for the club, but scored in pre-season wins over Warrington and Whitehaven. So that's a positive, isn't it?
Yeah, it shows
signing up a new young kid.
Shows what Widnes are all about at the moment. There was an interesting interview that has been in, I think it was in League Express with the CEO James Rule. About kind of the budgetary constraints there and how it's bringing through kids is basically what they're going to have to do, and so they keep doing that. Salford as well, they've forward Daniel Murray for them has agreed a new 2-year deal, keeping them at the club until the end of the 2020 season. So signing someone up who hasn't played a lot for them, but when he's been out on dual reg and loan and stuff in the Championship has impressed this year. So he'll hopefully be wanting to solidify his place in that squad now that he's signed a new contract. What about over in I don't even know where Swinton now is in relation to Salford, given that they don't play in Swinton, but just down the road, one town over. What's happening in the Championship?
That sounds like when the Sky commentators kept saying, and just over the bridge in Widnes when they were at the Warrington match. But Swinton have signed winger Ilias Burgle on loan. Burgle, 22, scored 5 tries in 6 games for the Lions at the end of last season, including a crucial one in the relegation battle with Oldham.
Yeah, I think he's class. I think it's good that he's going to start playing again. He didn't do much against his compatriots on Saturday in his first game back, but I assume he got in the side for that game. But I think he's a class winger. I think he did good in the World Cup. I think he did great for them last year. He basically kept them up, I would say, with his try-scoring form at the end of the season. So I think that's a good signing for Swinton. Okay, a club that is going to get plenty of coverage this week, and not for the positives. But this is, maybe a positive story for them. We'll see. West Wales Raiders have announced the signing of Danny Hunter, Mike Ward, Luke Williams, and Craig Kelly. Hunter has previously played for Hull Dockers amateur side as well as representing the Army. Ward has also been playing his trade for Army. Williams is a big coup for the Raiders because he played for Wales at under 16s and under 18s level and won the Students' Cup competition recently with Liverpool John Moores Uni. And Kelly has played at a high standard of rugby union and makes a cross-code switch to league, and I understand everyone's very excited about him at West Wales. Seems just like they're going to have ended up playing about 7,000 players by the end of this season.
Yeah.
Because there's always new players coming and kind of players just seeping out to other clubs. And actually, I'll roll through the League One news because the other story involves another one of the expansion sides and involves some Welsh people as well. So Coventry Bears have brought in 2 outside backs with good League One experience, Rhys Rant and Ashley Bateman, although back row Owen Jones has left the club by mutual consent. Now Ashley Bateman, I think, was at West Wales or was thinking of being at West Wales, and that didn't work out for him, and Owen Jones just sounds Welsh. So I assume
yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
Shall I do the and finally?
Yeah, we'll talk about West Wales and the record that they were subject to against York City Knights in the other results section. So yeah, do you want to flow through the and finally, and we'll
Yeah. So and finally, Leeds Rhinos forward Stevie Ward says he is devastated after his 2017 Grand Final winners' ring was stolen from his home on Tuesday. Ward, 24, helped Leeds beat Castleford at Old Trafford in October, just 8 days after dislocating his shoulder. England international Ward told the club website, "It's so distinctive you would think it's worthless to most people, but it's priceless to me. That week was one of the most significant of my life." The ring, which is one of just 20 produced, was among a number of items stolen from Ward's home, and the Super League club have urged anyone with any information to contact the police on their non-emergency number 101.
I hate stories like this. It's so clear that whoever's taken this has got absolutely no use for it because they can't make any money from it now. And let's face it, criminals aren't long-term thinkers most of the time. These guys are in for a short-term cash injection by recycling this stuff, getting it away from them as quickly as they can. This is something they can't sell.
No.
So they're just going to dump it somewhere, which means that a prize memento for someone who deserved it so much after kind of the injury woes he'd had and playing through the pain barrier to make sure he played in the game and all the doubts he'd had about himself in the build-up after getting injured again. It's just such a shitter that he's had that priceless piece of silverware taken away from him. You'd think the criminals would be better off fucking leaving it.
Yeah, take the TV instead.
Well, whatever else they've took, unless they completely don't have a clue what it is and what it means, but it still would be so distinctive. You'd almost think these kind of house breaking into criminals would understand the concept of if something's so distinctive, don't take it because that's how we're going to get found out.
Yeah.